Ladies and gentlemen, I am Weijian Zhou. It's my great pleasure to present ecological environment management in China. Ecological environment protection is a critical issue for everyone and the future of the world. I'm very pleased to present on this topic. Firstly, please allow me to introduce myself very briefly. I worked almost 40 years on global change. Now I am the director of the Xi'an Accelerated Mass Spectrometer Center and the director of the academic board of State Key Laboratory of Earth and Quaternary Geology. I served as a council member of the International Geosphere Program, UNESCO, in charge of global change theme. My presentation includes 4 aspects. First, I will talk about background and policies of ecological environment management in China. Second, China's achievements on ecological environment management. Third, China's dual carbon strategy. Fourth, technology boosts ecological environment protection. Since the Industrial Revolution, the impact of the human activities on the ecological environment has become more and more acute. Therefore, the Anthropocene epoch has been proposed. The upper left graph shows the concentration of CO2, nitrous oxide, methane, etc. has changed dramatically since 1950. The Antarctic ozone hole, global acid deposition, and the global warming resulting disasters and other global problems obviously endanger the survival and reproduction of all human beings. Nowadays, ecological environment protection has become a central issue related to the development of all human beings. As shown in these photos, international community strengthened cooperation and signed a series of important international conventions to protect the ecological environment. I would like to quickly show you a brief review of the history of China's ecological environment management. It can be divided into 4 stages. The first stage was from 1972 to 1988. The environmental protection has just started. The second stage was from 1989 to 1998. The government implemented a major pollution control programs, as shown in the picture below on the left. The 33211 program refers to the pollution control of 3 rivers, 3 lakes, 2 areas, 1 city, and 1 sea. The picture below on the right shows the 1 controller and 2 compliance program. The third stage was from 1999 to 2008. The government continuously intensified its efforts in energy conservation, in emissions reduction, and the control of the total discharge of pollutants. The fourth stage was from 2009. The government has launched a series of fundamental, pioneering, and long-term actions to prevent and control pollution, especially launched air, water, and soil pollution prevention and control action plans, and the nationwide battle to prevent and control pollutions. These actions have greatly improved the ecological environment. Now I'm going to talk about China's achievements on ecological environment management. After comprehensive management, the air quality continued to improve, as shown in these pictures. The proportion of days with good quality increased year by year from 2015 to 2021 and reached 87.4% in 2021, 10.7% higher than that in 2015. The concentrations of the major air pollutants decreased gradually. For example, PM 2.5 decreased by 40%, sulfur dioxide decreased by 64%, nitrogen dioxide decreased by 23%. Everyone can feel the improvement of air quality. The picture on the left is a photo of Beijing's air pollution in 2014, and the picture on the right is a photo of the improved air quality at Beijing in 2021. The water quality improved significantly. You can see from the left graph that the monitoring sites increased significantly, and the right graph shows the proportion of surface water sites with good quality increased from 66% in 2015 to 83% in 2020. This picture is a photo of Yangzhuang Reservoir in Xi'an, where I lived. The quality of water environment has been greatly improved. Soil environment has also improved dramatically. A series of basic nationwide surveys were launched. By the end of 2020, the safe utilization rate of polluted farmland reached about 90%, successfully fulfilling the goals set out in the 2016 Nationwide Soil Pollution Action Plan. China has carried out large-scale land greening programs. The left picture shows forest cover in China recently. As shown in right figures, the country's forest coverage and forest stock volume has been increasing over the past 30 years. By the end of 2020, the forest cover area of China reached 23%. The forest stock volume has increased from 15 billion cubic meter in 2016 to 17 billion cubic meter in 2021. In short, the government implemented a series of actions and improved the ecological environmental significantly. In addition, China has set up and improved systems, laws, inspections, providing guarantee for ecological environmental protection. Now I'm going to talk about China's dual carbon strategy. At present, the aggravation of climate change poses a severe challenge to the sustainable development of humanity. Reduction of carbon emissions is a common goal and requires global cooperative efforts. A series of international conventions relating to climate change, including the Paris Agreement, were signed. China attaches great importance to its response to climate change and formulated and released the national strategy of peaking carbon emission and achieving carbon neutrality, which is dual carbon strategy. Since the strategy was put forward, the government has taken actions to reduce carbon emission and develop new energy. These figures show that nuclear power, wind power, and photovoltaic power developed rapidly. Now I'm going to talk about the technology boosts ecological environment protection. We suggest further playing the role of science and technology to promote ecological environment protection. Let me present two examples. The first is conducting long-term monitoring of tracing atmospheric fossil fuel-derived CO2 by C14 to provide scientific data for the evaluation and control carbon emission reduction. This figure shows the long-term observation in China. We found obvious seasonal cycle in fossil fuel CO2, and the concentration of fossil fuel CO2 decreased significantly after the implementation of the action plan for prevention and control of air quality. Our observation in Beijing indicates high nighttime values of fossil fuel CO2 result in part from a change of wind direction from northwest to southeast. We also found significant correlation between PM2.5 and fossil fuel CO2 in Chinese cities, which imply the feasibility of reduction of both carbon and atmospheric pollutants in China through similar policy measures. Our group has carried out atmospheric C14 observation in 8 major cities in China to quantify fossil fuel CO2 concentration. It shows that the northwest cities has relatively high fossil fuel CO2 concentration in winter, and they are the key points to reduce carbon emission, especially the emission from coal consumption. The second example is about tailing reutinization. Our group has developed a new method for the full resources utilization of solid waste with catalyst as the core. By this new technology, we can separate and full resource utilize the major elements and the trace elements in tailing with low energy consumption and low cost, and convert them into high value added products to achieve good economic benefits. For example, two 600,000 kilowatt power plants could produce about 1 million tons of fly fish ashes, and all the fly ashes could be comprehensively utilized to extract 440,000 tons of aluminum and 335 tons of silicon gel, 22,000 tons of red iron oxide, 55 tons of gallium, and consume 510,000 tons of CO2. By the technology, zero emission of the solid waste and CO2 could be achieved. In summary, ecological environment protection is a critical issue for the world, the country, and the people. Many depends on the government, governance, and input. It requires the government to issue relevant laws and policies, and implement ecological environment protection actions. Meanwhile, the supervision of the people's public opinion is also indispensable. The development of high technology is the key to solving global ecological environment problems, such as new technology for coal utilization in an efficient and low-emission way will make important contributions to energy conservation and emission reduction. The international community should strengthen cooperation and build the beautiful world. Thank you for your attention.